Good afternoon, welcome to another 8-push video for review with Mr. Pate for Barlow High School. Today we're looking at immigration. We're looking at immigration comparing the old and the new. For the old immigration, we're talking about the period of 1840s to 1860s. We're seeing things like the Germans and the Irish being the principal groups that are coming over. Germans are pretty well off, Irish are pretty poor. We're seeing that their religions. The Germans were a mix of Catholic Protestant, the Irish were Catholic. There was some friction that developed there over religion. These people come to stay. They come for that land of opportunity. A lot of this is during the Manifest Destiny period. There's a chance to get land. They're escaping, at least for the Irish, they're escaping the potato famine. They are going to assimilate and stay. And they're going to embrace political involvement. The Irish are going to, later on in the late 1800s, be major figures controlling political machines. They're going to get involved and come here to stay and make things happen. Some contrasts here. Instead of Germans and Irish, the new immigration features Southern and Eastern Europeans and people coming from Japan and China and Asia. The religions coming from Southern and Eastern Europe are Orthodox and Catholic, not really any Protestants. And many of the people are going to return to Europe instead of planning on staying here like we saw over here. They're not assimilating. They're going to embrace keeping their own cultures. Many of these people they're largely poor and uneducated. Over here, some of the people were poor and uneducated. Some of them were well off and very well educated. Many of the Germans coming over escaping political repression, and they're pretty well off, smart people who are doing well. We said that they embraced politics in the Irish community and German communities and got really involved, especially the Irish. Not very politically involved here. They don't have the buy-in, they're not assimilating, they're going to return back to Europe, some of them. And you're going to see laws prohibiting or limiting future immigration come along here. You have the 1881 Chinese Exclusion Act. In 1906 you have the Gentleman's Agreement, where China, after the San Francisco School Board discrimination situation, Roosevelt makes a deal with Japan where they agree not to allow any more immigrants to come to the United States, and the United States agrees not to allow any discrimination against the immigrants that are already here. From Japan, you also are going to have the 1921 Emergency Quota Act and the 1924 Immigration Act, and these are both like further reductions of quotas on most of the countries around the world on how many people they could come here. You don't see formalized laws here, but you really do here. Okay, in terms of things that are comparisons, not contrasts like we've just looked at, they had their own sectors of cities. The main theme here is going to be discrimination. They had their own sectors of cities because they weren't allowed to live in other areas. So like there would be an Irish section of town in major cities. And these cities are in the Northeast, and they are eventually going to trickle into the Midwest. You're going to see cities like Milwaukee, Wisconsin, cities in Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, Detroit, Michigan. They're going to eventually move to the Midwest. Chicago is going to be the biggest area of this. Job competition led to nativism. You have the religious friction. The other main cause going on there, though, is job competition. These people come in, and the Germans, they moved out to the Midwest and farmed primarily or started their own businesses. But for the Irish and the older immigration and everyone in the new immigration, they're willing to take low jobs that are not skilled jobs. They're not making a lot of money at these jobs. This is a threat to the native-born workers who are here. They're going to be angry, and this leads to discrimination. This leads to those laws that develop later on. So if you're looking at the themes of this topic, discrimination would be the similarity. You have this idea called nativism. Back at this time, you had the Know-Nothing Party that's going to emerge, and you had Native American groups, which is not Native Americans like you think of today with Indians. You're talking about groups saying we're native-born Americans, we are anti-immigrant people. But the Know-Nothing Party is kind of a big thing you'd want to know in terms of describing the nativism if you ever got a question dealing with nativism in general or compare the immigration of different decades. By the time you get over here, you have groups like the KKK form, and you have the American Legion is kind of anti-radicalism of ideas. And you're going to basically see that they pass these laws because people are so fired up about these types of issues. They don't really get the laws passed here, but they are going to get them passed over there. So those are some themes for you looking at immigration and nativism in these different areas of comparison. Stay classy, Sam Barlow.